Hi everyone, my name's Natalie, and welcome to episode 4 of the Mental Matters podcast. Today we are tackling a big misconception, one that has personally affected me and many others: the idea that taking antidepressants is the lazy way out. Mental health struggles are real, and treating them is anything but easy. I want to share my journey with you today, not to convince you one way or another, but to shed light on what it's actually like to be on antidepressants. My goal is to help break down the stigma by giving you a personal and honest perspective. So I've struggled with mental health for as long as I can remember. Anxiety and depression weren't just occasional feelings, they became a daily battle. I exhausted every non medication approach like therapy, mindfulness, exercise, diet changes, supplements. Some things helped, but nothing really got me to a functional level. At my worst, I was completely debilitated. I couldn't leave my house, and I missed a lot of key and important moments in my life and felt physically trapped through the sensations I talked about last episode, like with the jaw tension and the nausea and being exhausted. And my body was shutting down from the weight of the anxiety. Medication obviously wasn't our first choice, as I was young when I started it, 12 or 13, but it became necessary. I started with Loven, which worked for a while until it didn't. And then I transitioned to Lexapro, which worked for a while until it didn't. I had to acknowledge that my brain needed support just as someone with a physical illness might need medication. It wasn't about trying harder, it was about survival. And here's the most important thing: nobody takes medication lightly. The stigma around it is very real. In fact, part of the reason I stopped taking my medication cold turkey while overseas was because I felt ashamed. I let the judgment of others make me question something that was actually helping me. And as a result of that, I ended up in hospital. Um, Quitting so abruptly sent my body into withdrawal, and I paid the price. Finding the right medication is a frustrating, drawn out, long process. I started with Loven, moved to Lexapro, and now I'm transitioning to Zoloft. Each step came with dosage changes, side effects, and not knowing whether, after all that suffering, if it's going to work. The side effects alone are proof that medication isn't the easy option. There's nausea, fatigue, heightened anxiety. It takes weeks, more so months to adjust. And even after all that, medication isn't a cure. I still, in all my time that I have taken medication, commit to therapy, EMDR, somatic work, exposure therapy, to try and keep myself healed from the inside, from within, so that one day the end goal is to not need medication in the end, but you can't rush that process. But here's the key thing: medication makes it possible to do that work. When anxiety had me bedbound, I couldn't engage in therapy, let alone daily life. Antidepressants gave me the foundation to rebuild my life. Mental health isn't just about thinking positively or not giving up. Movies and shows depict it as something almost glamorous, kind of crying in front of the TV with a tub of Ben and Jerry's, wearing a messy bun. But real mental illness is far from that. Real mental health struggles mean not brushing your teeth for days, because even that feels impossible. It's letting your hair get matted because you don't have the energy to care. It's being unable to get out of bed, not because you don't want to or you're lazy, but because your body physically won't let you. Yet, despite this reality, people are quick to shame and belittle those struggles. Our culture and media have romanticized depression into something that magically disappears when you find love or have a breakthrough moment, and that's not how it works. Recovery takes time, effort, and sometimes medication. Medication helps, but it comes with its own set of challenges. One of my biggest fears is tolerance. What if it stops working? Because I'm on my third antidepressant, because after a few years the other one stopped working. What if I have to start over? It's a scary thought. It's a scary place to be. It's a scary thing to have to wonder if you're going to have to deal with that again, put yourself in that situation again, because you don't know if you're going to make it through that time. The trial and error is exhausting, and no medication erases my struggles. I still have very bad days, but medication allows me to function and show up for life instead of being put in that survival mode that makes me so ill. And my goal isn't just to get through life with medication, it's to use that medication to be able to work on myself and to reach a place where I feel confident that I don't need that support anymore. But I'm not there yet. I'm nowhere near that point. In a perfect world, the chemicals in my brain are all balanced, just as the majority of the population, and I can regulate my nervous system and stress hormones without the need of medication. But this is not a perfect world, and I refuse to suffer and not be able to live my life because society looks down upon people who aren't blessed enough to have that kind of brain chemistry. And it doesn't affect you, so I don't think, especially the people that haven't dealt with it, have a right to pass a judgment. If someone lived a day in someone's shoes that's struggling terribly with their mental health, then they would know that no one deserves to live that way. And if medication helps, and if medication is getting them to where they need to be to one day not need it, then I think it's a very realistic plan. And again, taking medication is no easy feat. It's no light decision. There's so much to it. There's pros and cons, and there's things like withdrawal. One day you want to have to come off it, and your brain gets used to the amount of serotonin that the antidepressant is putting into your brain. So when you stop giving that extra boost, it really messes with your body. And that's the same as to when you're changing medications, which is what I'm going through now. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever done. It's constant nausea, fight or flight. It's hell, but at the same time, I know I'm not in a place that I can cope without medication at the moment. So I'm willing to struggle with that for a little bit until I can find the right balance again and the right medication. And again, that doesn't make me weak. It makes me human. We can't judge the things that people do to survive. So however someone's coping or trying to stay in this world is no one's right to judge if it's not hurting anybody. So, are antidepressants the lazy way out? No, absolutely not. They are a tool, a necessary, sometimes life-saving tool. And I'm a firm believer that someone taking medication should do everything in their power to build their nervous system to one day become regulated, to not need it anymore, but not to rush the process. And there's nothing shameful about taking antidepressants. If you're listening and struggling, know this. Taking care of your mental health is not weak. It is not lazy. It is one of the bravest things that you can do. So thank you for tuning in. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, your mental health matters. You matter. See you next time. Thanks.